It can be very stressful going through question banks and thinking, which one is the best question bank for my USMLE preparation? Thankfully, there are many question banks available, giving us a wide range of resources to choose from. But which one should you invest in? Here, I'll go into detail of some of the question banks that I have found most helpful. Now, I'll note here that I'm not sponsored by any of these question banks. I'm simply providing my recommendation based on my own experience in USMLE exams. And this list is by no means exhaustive, as there are other question banks such as AMBOS, Board Vitals, and others. By far, the most popular and most well-known question bank among medical students is UWorld, and for good reason. UWorld has made considerable efforts to present question banks as close to USMLE as possible, and the question explanations are notoriously excellent for USMLE exam preparation. Some of the major complaints that students have against UWorld are actually the number of questions that they have. UWorld currently has close to 4,000 questions for both USMLE Step 1 and Step 2, and the numbers are growing. Now this brings up an important point regarding exam preparation. Question banks are crucial to solidifying your knowledge of the exam material, and if students choose to rely solely on their review books, notes, or even watch video lectures, it's very unlikely that they'll have the test-taking experience necessary to excel on their board exams. Having said that, the more questions that a high-quality question bank has, the more advantageous it is for students. Try not to be overwhelmed by the number of questions in the question bank, and instead, try to focus on learning it for the exam. The creators of USMLE-Rx are the same creators for the first aid for USMLE, meaning that they efficiently combine the review books with their question banks. USMLE-Rx was helpful for me as it provides not only detailed explanations for questions, but also references to other resources, including of course first aid, but also other resources like Pathoma. This is such a time saver when you want to take notes on the relevant pages or simply take a quick read of the relevant page. USMLE-Rx is a good question bank to help students review their first aid. And many students, although they may find USMLE-Rx helpful, they may say that their questions may be too simplistic and do not resemble the real exam. And this has also been my experience. However, this is not necessarily a bad thing. If you find yourself in the beginning phases of your study but feel intimidated to jump right into UWorld, then USMLE-Rx may be the best option for you. I felt that starting USMLE-Rx laid the foundations for my future study plan and was a great supplement for students needing a question bank for their first aid early on in their preparation. So my preparation actually started with USMLE-Rx and then transitioned to other question banks. Kaplan also provides a question bank for students preparing for their medical board exams. Now the reason why you may purchase a Kaplan question bank may be different from others. Personally, I had just completed my USMLE-Rx Q bank and felt that I needed to focus on some details that I overlooked in my exam prep. Now this is where I think the Kaplan question bank really shines. Now I found that their question formats are not as close to the actual exam as UWorld was. Yeah, they go through a lot of effort to make the dashboard and experience resemble the USMLE exam, but I found that their questions were somewhat different. However, their technique of focusing on details that students may overlook was extremely helpful to me. In fact, I took an MBME self-assessment after USMLE-Rx and then another one after Kaplan Q-Bank, and I saw my score improve by a solid 15 points. And the only thing that I did differently in this time was the Kaplan Q-Bank. Also, Kaplan is the only question bank that I know of that provides a full 8-hour mock exam for students. Now this is such an underrated tool for students to not only practice questions, but also practice their endurance for exam day. So if you find yourself overlooking details in your exam and you need an assessment of your endurance, I highly recommend the Kaplan question bank. Now, as I mentioned before, there are also other question banks available for students, but these are the question banks that I've used personally. Let us know what you thought of these question banks in the comment section below. Also, please share with us your experience on other helpful question banks that you've used and why they were helpful. I hope this video was helpful for you. Many of our MedFox members and coaches have gone through the same struggles that you are going through right now. Consider joining our MedFox community that's thriving with med students and coaches all supporting each other throughout their med school journey. Join for free at medfoxmembers.com.